All right, part two. Shalom, Hebrews and Hebrews. Welcome back to our daily bread. Man, I'm going to tell you what. Today is the day the Lord has made. I woke up this morning. My back was jacked. Boy, I had to get my wife to help me put my boots on. That's always a humbling experience, and it's definitely no fun. But as the day went on, and I worked and continued to do my job, not only for my company, Armstrong Energy, but also for Yahweh. I have tried to make this daily bread video. This is actually part two, would be the fifth time that I've had to read Isaiah. And so with that, the last question I asked in the previous video is we know that Yeshua is love, 100%. He loves us. But do we love him? And that's the question I want y'all to ask yourself. Do you really, truly love Yeshua, or do you love what he has for you? Because if it's what he has for you, then you got work to do. We all do. I asked myself that question last night. Do I truly love Yeshua? And so think about that. I'm gonna flip you around. We're gonna look right at a rock. I want you to think of that rock. That rock is Messiah in your life. And you better stand on it, because we're coming into trials, tribulations, and trying times. I'm not saying the great tribulation. Don't hear me wrong. But we are coming into tribulation. We are coming into trials and times of hardship. The American way, as we once knew it, is going to be quite altered and different going forth, regardless of the outcome of this COVID-19. There are going to be legislation made that is going to cut our civil rights. I promise you. We did after 9/11. Do we remember what? Some of us remember life prior to 9/11, so, and how the Patriot Act and Homeland Security has stomped and trampled on a lot of those rights. Bet going forth, that same thing will happen. I don't know if we're going into the actual tribulation. I'm looking at some things. It looks like, man, we are coming to a crossroads here. Um, Political, financial, economical, social, physical, spiritual. All of this is coming to a head, man. And so if we don't have this right here, the rock, the word of Yahweh, Hebrews 4:12, the word is sharper. The word is powerful and active and sharper than any two-edged sword, dividing even unto the asunder of the bone and the marrow. We got to ask ourselves, do I truly love Yeshua? I'm going to flip you around. We're going to read Isaiah chapter 7 as per our daily bread. There's that rock I was talking about. And there's a law behind it. Speed limit 50. Yeshayahu chapter 7, Isaiah chapter 7 verse 1 says, it came to be in the days of Ahaz, son of Jotham, son of Uzziyahu, sovereign of Yehuda, and Retzin, sovereign of Aram, and Pekah, son of Remaliahu, sovereign of Israel, went up to Jerusalem to fight against it, but could not prevail against it. And it was reported to the house of David, saying, Aram has set up camp, and Ephraim, and his heart, and the heart of his people were moved as the trees of the forest are moved with the wind. Notice them trees may be moving, but that rock is there in the video. Look forward. See the rock? Steady, still, yet the trees move back and forth with the wind. Think about that. Selah. Okay, verse 3. And Yahweh said to Yeshayahu, go out now to meet Ahaz, you and Shear, Yeshub, your son, at the end of the channel of the upper pool, on the highway of the launderer's field. And say to him, take heed, be calm, do not fear or be faint-hearted, for these two stubs of smoking firebrands, for the fierce displeasure of Retzin and Aram and the son of Remaliahu. Because Aram, Ephraim, and the son of Remaliahu have plotted evil against you, saying, let us go up against Yehuda, and tear it apart, and break it open for ourselves, and set a sovereign over them, the son of Tabbael. Thus saith the Master Yahweh, it is not going to stand, nor shall it take place, for the head of Aram in Damascus, and the head of Damascus in Retzin, and within 65 years, Ephraim is to be broken as a people. And the head of Ephraim is Shomeron, and the head of Shomeron is the son of Rameliehu. If you do not believe, you are not steadfast. We don't believe in Yeshua. We don't love Yeshua. We're the trees, not the rock. Verse 10. And Yahweh spoke against Ahaz, saying, ask a sign for yourself from Yahweh, your Elohim. Make deep the request, or make it high. But Ahaz says, I do not ask nor try Yahweh. Ahaz like, what are you thinking? And he said, hear now, O house of David, is it not enough that you weary men? That you weary my Elohim also? Are we wearying men right now? Are we making false accusations and making false claims and disclaimers and spreading them like wildfire on social media and throughout the land? That's wearying men. Verse 14, therefore Yahweh himself gives you a sign. Look, the Alma conceives and gives birth to a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel, which is, God is with us. He eats curds and honey when he knows to refuse evil and choose the good. For before the child knows to refuse evil and choose the good, the land that you dread is to be forsaken by both her sovereigns. Yahweh brings on you and your people and your father's house days that have not come since the day Ephraim turned away from Yehuda, the sovereign of Asher. And it shall be in that day that Yahweh whistles for the fly, that it is not the farthest part of the rivers of Mizraim, that is Egypt, and for the bee that is in the land of Asher. And they shall come, and all of them shall rest in the steep ravines, and in the clefts of the rocks, and all weeds, and in all pastures. In that day Yahweh shall shave with a razor hired beyond the river, with the sovereign of Asher, the head and the hair of the legs, and also remove the beard. That is to shame a man. Verse 21, and it shall be in that day that a man keeps alive a young cow and 2 sheep, and it shall be that he shall eat curds because of the plenty milk he gets, for everyone left in the land shall eat curds. I'm trying to think, when we eat cheese, is that the Day of Atonement? No. Pentecost. During Pentecost, we were to eat cheese. It shall be in that day, every place where there were 1,000 vines worth 1,000 shekels of silver, let it be for thorn bushes and weeds. Now, let me tell you something. I was thinking on the eating the cheese and what part of the Moedim that Yeshua, or that Yahweh declares that we are to do throughout generations. I'm learning these festivals and feasts of Yahweh, the Moedim. So that's why I had to think about it. I'm learning it. We just started this last year. We just come out of the world, come out of her, my people, last year, and began following Yahweh's feasts rather than man's holidays. And so I'm learning this. Just give me a little break on that. Verse 24, with arrows and bows one shall go there, because all the land shall be thorn bushes and weeds, and to all the hills which were tilled with the hoe. You do not go for fear of thorn bushes and weeds, but it shall be for sending oxen to, and a place for sheep to roam. We're going to catch up right here. Catch up in our daily bread, where Isaiah is in the same chapter as the rest, other than Proverbs. Now then, as we go forth, they're going to get out of order, because some books are longer than others, and they'll get out of order, but we're going to catch up here. Isaiah chapter 8 verse 1 says, and Yahweh said to me, take a large tablet and write on it with a man's pen concerning Meir, Shalal, Hashbaz, And let me take reliable witnesses to record Uriah, the priest of Zechariah, son of Yiberka Yahu. Yiberek Yahu. And I went to the prophetess, and she conceived and bore a son. And Yahweh said to me, call his name Meir Shal Hashabaz. For before the child knows to cry, my father, my mother, the riches of Damascus and the spoil of Shomron is taken away before the sovereign of Asher. And Yahweh spoke to me again, saying, inasmuch as these people refuse the waters of Shiloh, that flow softly and rejoice in Redsin, and Remeliahu's son, now therefore see, Yahweh brings up over them the waters of the river, strong and mighty, the sovereign of Asher, and all his esteem, and he shall come up over all his channels, and go over all his banks. And he shall pass through Yehuda. He shall overflow and pass over, reaching up to the neck. And the stretching out of his wings shall fill the breadth of your land. O Emmanuel, God is with us. Be shattered, O you peoples, and be broken pieces. Give ear, all you from far places of the earth. Gird yourselves, but be broken in pieces. Gird yourselves, but be broken in pieces. Come on. That's our grafting in, us Gentiles being Israel. He had to break us. He had to crush all of us that was in us out to make us look like him, to bring us into the tribe of Israel. Verse 10, take counsel and it comes to naught. Speak a word and it does not stand. For El is with us. For Yahweh is with us. Verse 11, for Yahweh spoke thus to me with a strong hand, and instructed me that I should not walk in the way of these people, saying, do not say conspiracy concerning all of that this people call a conspiracy, nor be afraid of their threats, nor be troubled. Man, this is speaking to us today, as long as we keep it in context. Verse 13, Yahweh of hosts, him you shall set apart. Let him be your fear, and let him be your dread. Fear Yahweh. Be only afraid of the Lord and only afraid of what he can do. That's what it's saying right there, verse 13. And he shall be for a set apart place, but a stone of stumbling and a rock that makes for falling to both the houses of Israel, as a trap and a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. And many among them shall stumble and fall and be broken and snared and taken. Bind up the witness and seal the Torah among my taught ones. And I shall wait on Yahweh, who hides his face from the house of Jacob, and I shall look for him. Look, I and the children whom Yahweh have given me, for signs and wonders in Israel from Yahweh of hosts, who dwells in Mount Zion. And when they say to you, seek those who are mediums and wizards, who whisper and mutter, should not a people seek their Elohim? Should they seek the dead on behalf of the living? To the Torah and to the witness. Let me read that again, verse 20. To the Torah and to the witness. If they do not speak according to this word, it is because they have no daybreak. They have no light in them. There is no light in them. It's darkness if we do not speak of the Torah. If we do not walk in the Torah, y'all. Yes, I'm passionate about this because people have been lied to so long that they have this false doctrine of, I can do what I want and I'm still going to heaven. Matthew 7:14 through 21, we read that, or 23, we read that the other day. We've got to get on the narrow path. And they shall pass through it, hard pressed and hungry. And it shall be when they are hungry that they shall be wroth and curse their sovereign and their Elohim, looking upward. And they shall look to the earth and see distress and darkness, gloom of hard times, and be driven into thick darkness. Pastors teaching this false doctrine of Jesus is going to come and rapture the church. We're not going to go through any trials. You're going to be broken and you're going to misplace your trust. I'm going to leave it right there. We'll catch up. We will. There's so much wisdom in Yeshayahu, Isaiah, that is speaking to us today. Not only does he speak to us, he speaks through all generations. That's the amazing thing about Isaiah. He speaks about all generations. And as long as we keep his word in context, we can walk in what Isaiah says, what Yeshayahu says here. One who is troubled just walked by in front of my camera. Lost as the day is long. Pray for that man. I've known him since I was about 9 years old. He lives here at my motel. He works diligently every day, but he's lost. We're all lost. Let me put it that way. Everyone is lost if they do not seek Elohim first and foremost. If we do not read his word diligently every day and see what Yahweh would tell us. Be careful that we don't become one-sided of the sword, that we either only read his word and never pray. I've been there. Or that you only pray and never read his word. Let us be the fullness of what God has called us to be. Let us seek his wisdom. Let us be diligent, asking ourselves every day, Lord, I love you. Teach me to love you even more every day. Teach me to repent from the things I need to repent and walk in righteousness and what I've learned, how to walk in righteousness so far. These trying times, if we don't have Christ, and I'm going to say it every video probably, but if these trying times we don't have Christ, we don't have nothing. It's all going to go to hell. So thank y'all. Thank everyone. I thank every one of you brothers and sisters who watch my videos and take time to listen to what the words of the Lord would say. I believe he speaks to us all in different ways. He speaks to me through the scriptures. Isaiah 43:1 through 5, where we read yesterday. He calls us by name. He calls us Israel. He calls us us. He calls us his children. I heard Isaiah 43:1 quoted 3 times yesterday and once this morning by different people who had no clue. That's how the Lord talks to me. Listen, and he'll talk to each and every one of us. Shalom, my brothers and sisters. Thank you for being a part of this channel. Please share my videos. I would love to get our base up to enough where we could do live videos. I know I don't speak like other pastors, but I wasn't called to speak like other pastors. There's plenty of those guys running around. Jeremiah 3:15 is what I seek to be. I've been humbled and I've allowed God to exalt me to where I'm at, knowing that if I stay diligent, he'll continue to lift me up.